Hi, I'm your host, Anand Sukhadia, and this is the Limitless One podcast. Join me on this journey as I interview the most inspirational souls who are tapping into their limitless blueprint on a mental, physical, and spiritual level to thrive in uncertain times. If you feel you are so much more than just this body, just this life, and want to tap into your limitless potential, you're in the right place. Here we go, starseeds. Did you know that we can awaken our Kundalini energy with just a touch? Welcome to the Limitless One podcast, starseeds. I'm your host, Anand Sukhadia, and we are going on a journey to unlock the secrets of the most sacred gifts to humanity. Opening our Kundalini is our divine right as souls, and today we are going to go mystical with my good friend and Kundalini Activation Process Facilitator, Anastasia Armanova. Anastasia is a certified KAP Facilitator and high-frequency transmitter. Her background as a coach and NLP master practitioner helps Anastasia to guide her clients through the whole process of integration of spiritual awakening before and after the activation. According to her master astrologer, Anastasia's physical body carries the ecstasy feeling-like frequency that expands consciousness and aligns people with who they really are. Anastasia, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on, finally.
Thank you so much, Anand, for having me, and thank you for spreading this awareness and bringing that to the world.
I really appreciate you. Yeah, so you've been my friend for a couple of years now, and in the last 6 months, I'm like, okay, I want to get you on the podcast, and I know you're so busy, and you're really getting super in demand with all the practices that you're doing. So thank you so much for taking the time, Anastasia. Let's jump right into it. What does living a limitless life mean to you?
To me, it means embodying the higher aspects of yourself, your superior self, tapping into the super consciousness and being able to achieve whatever you need to achieve, as long as it's ecological, without limiting beliefs, without any limitations. It means that to me.
Beautiful. I love that. And just so everyone knows how I know you, I met you a few years ago online. And, it's so crazy because since opening up my wellness center and devoting myself to this spiritual path, I'm attracting all my starseed brothers and sisters into my life. And it's like every single day, I'm meeting more and more people. And, you're somebody that I met, and immediately we had a rapport, and we had so many things that were like-minded ways of thinking and everything like that. So I really just thank you for being in my life, and it's been an amazing ride, and I've had so many great experiences with you through the Kundalini activation, and I tell people all about it, but everyone's like, oh, tell me more, tell me more. So this is the opportunity where we can talk about what Kundalini activation is and how it's impacting millions of lives across the world. Now, tell us the story of how you got to this place in life.
My spiritual life happened in my very early age. I was always a spiritual seeker up until 2019. And when this initiation happened, when I was in this Kundalini activation process modality, was trained, I would say I became a finder. Finally, I was like, oh, I found it. I feel it. I experienced that. Since early childhood, I understood there is something more beyond that our vision perceives, that I was looking at the stars and I knew I kind of don't belong here. I belong here, but I'm not from here. And I need to go to explore, to expand myself, because I'm coming from a very small town where population is around 12,000 people. And my soul was just hungry for all these experiences and life lessons. And I came to the United States. I'm very happy to be able to be experiencing this country, because with this country, I was able to express, to tap into who I am really becoming, who I am. And with many opportunities, attending seminars, live workshops with different teachers, different modalities, kind of impacted my development.
Beautiful. And who are some of the teachers that you studied from?
Abraham Hicks, Bashar, Paul Salik, my personal mentor, Russian lady who has been a great impact in my life for over 10 years. She was guiding me in that spiritual journey. I remember I came first time to her and I was very open, was very like perceiving the reality, and I was very interested in mysticism and all these abilities, all these extraterrestrials, all this different world. And at that time, when it was just happening, my activations, my awakenings, I could not talk to a lot of people about that, like some of my friends were very interested and intrigued to listen to me, but they could not exchange with same stories. And I was searching for people who will guide me, who will teach me in that path. And my mentor, my psychic friend, she was the first person who kind of gave me validation. Everything you're telling me exists. This is real. I communicate with them. I talk to them. I channel them. It's normal. Come with me to Mount Shasta. It was in 2012. And I was like, oh my God. It was like everything I was carrying in my knowledge, all the experiences, they were so sacred. And I happened to meet finally that person who was saying, yes, it's true. It's happening. You are not imagining. You're not just fantasizing. It's the truth. Wow. And since then, it was 10 years of my development, 7 years. Yeah, I would go into that subject a little later.
Amazing. Yeah, it's incredible because a lot of people, they have these certain feelings and then they try to suppress them, or they have these otherworldly encounters and they suppress them because they're like, they don't want to be outside of the norm. But when you embrace this kind of lifestyle, same with me, like I never felt like I was on, the traditional path, like, the way that my family is, and they're very straight edge, and they go down this one road because they think that's the road to success. And, it's like getting a good job, becoming a doctor, getting married, having kids, and then boom, that's it. That's life, right? And then having grandkids. And then there's also the life of exploration. And I think that you and I have that in common is we haven't gone that traditional route, but we went after things that kind of like lit our minds up, lit our spirits up. And then, sometimes you take a lot of turns and twists and nothing is ever straight. But, when you're open to it, then the people will appear. And tell us a little bit about how you attracted your mentor.
Somebody back in 2012, they told me there is one woman in California and she is a seer. So she has this extra sensory ability and she channels. And to me, it was always interesting. I always were attracted to mysticism, going to psychics or tarot cards readers, but I was very, very conscious whom I'm choosing to have this information from, because you can have all these extrasensoric abilities you want. You can be a saint, you can be beyond guru, but my concern is who you are as a human being first. Mm-hmm. And so when I met my first mentor in 2012, I came to her, and it was instant recognition that love, divine energy, and in all aspects of your life, not only when she works with people, with her clients in the sessions, with channeling and working in higher realms of the frequency, but also as the human being, as her personal trait of who she is. And so it was the very strong connection with her, and I consider her as my second mom.
Wow, very cool. Okay, so let's move on a little bit. Couple of years ago, when we first met, you told me about the starseed astrologer that you came in contact with, and since then I've worked with her. Tell us a little bit about what are starseeds and how you started working with this particular astrologer.
As far as I know about starseeds, those are people who carry certain frequency, and they're very important for the moments of this transition that we all go through as a humanity, as a collective. So these people are emanating the frequency, and so they create this kind of like egregore net that helps others to shift through a crisis that we all go through.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the astrologer. And it was, so as all my life now for 10 years, being on that spiritual journey, I was guided to go to this seminar or this expo or meet these kind of people or read this book. And so my journey led me to that astrologer. And I cannot disclose her name because she's off media and she will never be on media. She does these charts only for people who have special markings in their charts. And it's a natal chart, but it has extra knowledge in that, I would say, because of her abilities.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And tell us a little bit about how life has changed since you started working with her.
So she has been guiding me for 5 years. It happened to be just once a year for 1 hour, but the impact in my life, it was tremendous, because even now, actually in March, this March, it was the last time that she worked with me, because she's going to go into a different field to spread this knowledge that she has for all her life and put behind the movies, put behind the different information resources to do it on another scale, to expand the consciousness of people. And for 5 years, I've been kind of under her supervision, and it has been fantastic. Even now, I have all the recordings from the past sessions. I have goosebumps from re-listening, and I can backtrack what was happening, because we have the technology. I can, with pictures, with tickets, traveling to countries, can backtrack everything she was telling me. Not only with you're going to travel to this country, you're going to meet this person. Very specific, very profound information that kind of prepared me for my life journey.
Amazing. And then, so tell us a little bit about the rest of your life journey, say like the last 2 years of what your life is like.
Yeah, it's been very, how I would say that. It has been very transformative, and I'm adventurous. Mm-hmm. I am staying in the present. Whatever is in front of me, emotions, feeling, experiences, I'm going in if it's resonating. And within that frame for 2 years, I have been married and divorced, although it was not marriage on papers. It was a spiritual, beautiful marriage. But I'm divorced. I'm back in the United States. And I was married to a spiritual teacher, spiritual leader. 7 years before I met my partner, I was on that development journey, and I knew that I want to attract a partner who would be much more advanced than me. And 3 years before I met him, I was on a deep spiritual sadhana. I was very conscious in my lifestyle. With every information I put, in my body, I eat, I speak, I think, I listen to whom I spend time with. I was very aware, and I was filtering it through the love. If it was not resonating, I was not making this choice. It was very healthy boundary discernment. Mm-hmm. And right after my initiation, after which I became a finder, spiritual finder, I found my twin flame. And it was a very amazing, passionate, very loving, very hard, extremely hard relationship in my life that set me to my next journey. It has been very transformative, because with the twin flame, when we meet our twin flames, we are very lucky, because only the twin flame is showing you your aspect that you need to transform. And we're not even meant to stay with a twin flame. These journeys are preparing us for our partners in life. When I met my partner, we were traveling the world with the mission. We were going to India, Africa, Spain, Italy, Poland, because he has a big following, a lot of devotees. And I was able to facilitate my practice with them. we opened an ashram in Italy. I found a very beautiful physical place in the middle of the nowhere in a forest with 60 hectares of the land. And it's like a virgin land with the wild animals. And it was very, very beautiful. We had a community living, and he still lives there and manages everything. But our life journey just took us apart. And I'm grateful for every moment what happened, even for the hardship, although it was very, very difficult. It just happened to be in March that I decided to leave this relationship. And it's been 4 or 5 months now. I can say I'm healed from that, even though I went through extremely hard time.
Yeah, for sure. And getting out of a relationship is never easy, and there's always healing to do. But when you do find somebody of a twin flame caliber where you complement each other so well, and then have to make the decision to for the best of both people, right? So going through that process, I know how painful it can be. What were some of the steps you did to actually heal your emotional state, your physical state, your spiritual state?
It was fascinating for me. Back then, when I returned to the United States, I was kind of writing my blog about my healing journey. And I was describing how it felt, because right now, look at me, I completely functioning. I'm happy, I'm vibrant, and I'm excited about life. But it happened just 5 months ago. And why it happened so fast that I feel already back on my track, back to who I am, because I was doing intense healing journey. I was doing intense practicing. I was working with a therapist. I was doing my Kundalini sessions when it's a space to release whatever you have, and it was just releasing tons of emotions in a short period of time. And it's happened to be an accelerated journey. It was interesting that if I would say 5 years ago, I would never speak about the pain that we are going through. I would think, why do I want to add extra pain in the internet or in the reality that already exists? Mm-hmm. And I think what is the most important now for me is being true to every emotion, to every feeling you're experiencing. And it was fascinating to me how many women were texting and calling and telling thank you for being courageous and speaking out what you're going through, because it literally feels like you're losing your limb. Mm-hmm. And this is the physical pain, as if you were thinking of both of you, these two people, as one being, one entity, and then you experience death and this old grief process and mourning. And you just need to give yourself this time consciously, time and space to be able to process, to heal, to feel, to allow these emotions to flow through you. Because if we don't have them flow, they get stuck in our system, and then it affects our well-being. So with this modality that I'm working with, it's accelerated. It's literally you in a space that all your blockages, all your thinking just eliminates, and you go into that state of pure release. You can be sad, cry, scream, but then after the session, you feel like liberation, finally opening up, finally connecting on a soul level, even with this person, your ex or your anybody that you had this moment with. And working with mental, spiritual, and physical in an integrated way is much more efficient. Because it's a lot of people the natural response to trauma is shutting off. It's kind of being an illusion. Oh, it's I'm going to put it away. I'm going to distract myself. I'm going to go out, meet my friends, or going to go date right away. Yeah. And I think it's not really fair to the next person who comes into your life, kind of open and having expectations from with creating together something. And then you carry all that things like baggage from, because it just what happened recently. On the energy level, it's not fair to that person. you need to heal first yourself, and then kind of come to that new stage of your life.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. In the past, when I was younger, I'd get out of a relationship, I'd jump right into the next one, and I wouldn't heal from the previous one. And then I'd be bringing my shit into this new one and then projecting whatever hurt I had onto someone new. And, a lot of people do that. And it's so important to kind of lean into that hurt, that pain, because that's what beauty grows out of it, right? Like anytime something dies, say an animal dies in the forest, eventually it's going to wither away and it's going to go back into the soil, and then it's going to come back out either a vegetable or a fruit tree or whatever it is. But it's so important to, a lot of people talk about authenticity and being authentic with other people, but there's not a lot of talk about being authentic with oneself, and to really dive deep and honor oneself and those feelings that you have. I think that, if all of us did that, then I think there would be a lot less hurt and a lot less pain in this world, and not just from a relationship point of view, but from, when people are hurt, they want to speak out. And sometimes when you speak out, it's not of sound mind, or it's out of anger, or it's out of somebody hurt me, so I'm going to hurt somebody else. But at the end of the day, like when we truly understand, okay, if we've been hurt, to be able to forgive is the highest level of consciousness, and to forgive ourselves and then to forgive the other people to do so.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Yes, and it's also a process of metamorphosis, with the becoming from caterpillar, becoming this beautiful butterfly that is filled with love to her himself first, and then it's natural evolution, natural process to attract somebody that is much more compatible for your evolved version. Because if you are still traumatized, if you still going through healing, you will attract kind of similar to the person that you were with. It's going to be same scenario, different decorations, different people, but same scenario where you got to be the person you weren't there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, we do, you and I and a lot of people that listen to the podcast, Starseeds, they look to constantly improve themselves and heal themselves. But yet sometimes we do attract something that we think is not, is bad for us. But at the end of the day, we have no idea about the karma we're resolving. We have no idea about what we signed up for and the lessons that we still need to learn going through this process. And, I say it all the time, like we are our own soulmates. And once we can reconcile that and realize there's nothing outside of us that is needed. Yes, being in like a loving, fulfilling relationship is important. And I wish that for everyone. And, but you can never tell what the future holds. It's always going to be you as the primary force in your life. And once you start taking care of yourself and loving so deeply within and resonating that out, then yes, you might find a relationship, you might not find a relationship. But if you are okay with no matter what happens, I'm going to love myself every single day of the rest of my life, then you live a fulfilled life and you have the experiences that you need to in order to move through this soul progression.
I completely resonate with that. I think we are all, we have that birthright. We are born already as our own soulmates. And then with conditioning and programming, we just forget. We don't remember who we are. And then we looking and needing others for the validation and as the source for happiness and joy. And when we draw this attention back to us and becoming fulfilled and integrated, then we are not in need of anybody. We're just an emanation or an expression of who we truly are, the love, and then it's the progress.
Yeah,
natural evolution.
For sure. And in this world that we live in the last few years, it's been so chaotic and so many changes and so much upheaval and sadness and pain and anger and outrage. But at the end of the day, like everyone here on this planet is trying to do the best that they can with the knowledge that they have, and including ourselves. So it's like choosing to be here in Earth at this time. It takes a lot of courage for all of us to be here, to show up every single day and to show up in love. It takes even more courage. despite the fact that, yeah, there's people out there that can possibly hurt us, and and vice versa. But it's really interesting, and I really want to dive deep a little bit into Kundalini activation process. Tell us specifically what it is, and how you got involved, and how you even heard about it to start becoming a practitioner in the training.
Kundalini activation process is the modality that activates your Kundalini and taps into your superconsciousness. It's the modality that has its own consciousness that works with the higher aspect of the human, their superconsciousness, higher self. It's a transmission of the energy, and I am a facilitator, and people have their own experience when they come to the session. When I came to the first open class myself with the Bennett, with the teacher, I didn't know anything about that. And I like people who come the same, with no knowledge, with no reading books or researching before, no bias, I would say. They come raw in their perception, whatever it is. It's the best way, because then you have expectations, you're limiting it, and it's not the same experience. So I come to this class, and the teacher is doing a demonstration on his girlfriend and the person that works with them. And two beautiful women are laying down his music. And imagine, I don't know anything what's going to happen. I'm looking at that demonstration, and the teacher then is just touching their chakra points or meridians on their body. And these beautiful women start to do beautiful movements with their bodies, like as if energy is pulling them from the chest, and hand movements. And you sitting there like, oh my God, this is a setup. This is as if in a circus setup. People know that they will be called to do these tricks, and like, no, she's his girlfriend and she's working for him. It's not gonna happen. But I was sitting there kind of close, and specifically one knee was in a lotus position and one knee is a little more close, and I feel that vibration in my knee, and I'm like, this is weird. This is like some sensation, physical sensation. And when I was receiving that, when we were all laying down, around 20 people in that class, and music is played, they touch your chakra, and it's a transmission from crown chakra down to down, and eventually energy flows from up to down and down to up, and both ways, depending on each individual. And the way I received it, it was as if, imagine the honey substance slowly going inside of your brain, expanding the brain. It's a physical sensation. When we go on the plane, our ears pop. It's for high frequency, you have that sensation, and ears popping, and it was beautiful, tasty sensation going down here and stopped in my solar plexus point. And you're still there. Your consciousness is observing, even though you're having experience, you're always there. And it stopped in my solar plexus point, and I'm like, oh, I want the full body experience, because I already feel all amazing from here to up, and I want the full body experience, as if he heard me. That's how it works, telepathically. At that moment, he touched me in my solar plexus point, and the energy went down and up instantly. When I received it in my brain again, it was explosion of ecstatic experience, ecstatic sensation, blissful, nirvana, ecstasy, orgasmic.
So let me ask you a question. Is it orgasmic as like in like a sexual orgasmic feeling, or would you say it's a different feeling altogether?
I always differentiate, because sexual, it doesn't have anything with the sexual, having sex aspect. It is as, imagine after making love, and you and this bliss, and you in that, like every cell of your body is in multi-orgasmic sensation. It's vibrating in that frequency, that like delicious experience. That's a differentiation. It doesn't have anything to do, you don't think about like touching yourself or stimulating in itself. No, it's beyond, it's in the consciousness, subconsciousness, super consciousness level.
Awesome. Now, Vinod, like, how did he develop this practice? Did he learn from somebody else? Did he create it? It's like almost like he hacked like the secrets of the universe and was able to just draw energy out of thin air and figure out how to transmit it to others.
As far as I know, Venant was a student of the David Data, the spiritual teacher, and he was traveling with his work, and then he created this modality of Kundalini Activation Process. We all have our chi, prana, this life force energy, and he just happened to create that modality to activate that in people and take them on that spiritual journeys.
When our energy centers are all blocked, like what does that actually cause inside of the body?
What is the blocked energy? It's just the prevention of natural flow, of the flow of that frequency, of that chi, of that life force energy. And when it gets stuck in some points, it's subconsciously you are letting it be stopped because it should flow, but consciousness or subconsciousness is stopping it. And sometimes a person has like a benefit from it, you know, like a second benefit, like he meets his needs, having that block, like a trauma or whatever. Sometimes people tend to recreate on purpose just to be in that familiar scenario.
Yes, yeah, because it's like a comfortable misery. That's all they know, right? So
yes.
Interesting. And then I know in terms of opening the channels, how long does that last for once you get, say, a Kundalini activation process? Is it an ongoing thing? Do you need to work with a practitioner, or can you like figure it out or like keep that channels open on your own through certain practices?
It's the Kundalini activation process, the process of the surrender. It's not personal will. It happens with the facilitator first, of course, and then it can stay, depends on your sensitivity with people. Some people for a few weeks, some people for a few days. And then that frequency is still working in your daily life on yourself. But I would say it's like coming to the class, people get to wash their face with this high frequency water, like holy water, I would say, because it's tapping into your higher self. Yep. And then you go back to your life, and a lot of us forget. We go to the pattern, we go to the same loop, and then to remember again, we come back for the activation. And of course, the ultimate goal is to get your system trained, so you don't need this third person to connect to that. But we need to go through some evolution, some process of development.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the most amazing experiences that you've had personally? Have they been in class with somebody else, as a practitioner, on your own? Like, tell us a little bit about what the Kundalini activation has done in terms of your life since before starting it, and then like now in your life. What has opened up for you?
But first of all, of course, it was the missing puzzle of my seeking process, seeking journey. And that's how I met my ex-love of my life, who was my twin flame. And it was the first sight recognition, because he's a very powerful human being. He's an avatar for the divine energy. He transmits that love that it's very extraordinary experience. And that me being activated, already having that frequency, it was just boom on that level recognition. I would mention that when I facilitate, I have that sensation of bliss, of nirvana. I always in that so feels so good, so amazing. And when I can activate myself, it's very orgasmic for me. So I tap into creativity. I happen to, with the detoxes I'm doing, with purifying my body, I happen to tap into the telepathy almost. It's very like instant thinking of somebody, thinking of something, and there it is. There's a call or a text message from the person that I was just thinking, and it's it was happening before, and it's but it's not happened to that extent. Now it's just like mind blowing. How is it possible to experience that when I wake up? It was a few weeks ago. I woke up and I was thinking, about one particular person. Oh, Anastasia, you go to Moscow in August. Why don't you stop by Poland on the way back from Moscow to New York? And I already envisioned, I had this vision, not generating thinking, imagining, but it was as if it was loaded to me, downloaded. I was seeing this group of people, women that we exchanging and we're talking, and I share the experience. And so I'm having this image, and a few hours later, the people who I was thinking to contacted me.
Wow.
And the specific words, Anastasia, why don't we organize your workshop in Poland? Mm-hmm. Mind blowing.
Wow. It's so beautiful. Yeah. When you're like, your vessel is clean, it's open, and you're able to feel this energy going through you, these synchronicities happen daily. And it's like almost at some point you're like, oh, am I supposed to be surprised about this or expected? Because now in my life, every single day, these kind of synchronicities are happening. I'm thinking about something, it's appearing. I'm thinking about somebody, they're calling me or they're texting me, hey, and then I call them and I'm like, you know what? I was just thinking about you. It like happens every single day. It's
yeah. It's aligning to the timeline of yourself, of resonating with everything you attract. It's new normal. It's very beautiful, exciting journey. It was with me, but with the people, I can't even start to describe how many benefits people go to, deep insight, deep realizations, leaving toxic relationship or work environment. They become very strong in their boundaries. They tap into the inner navigation, inner guidance about food, about every choice they need to consciously make to maintain that vessel in a pure state.
And I wanted to share my experience with Kundalini activation. It was actually pretty incredible. So we met virtually online, but we never actually met in person. And then one time you were in New York, I think you were in India, and then you came back to New York, and you invited me for a workshop. And originally when we spoke, we're like, oh yeah, Anastasia, you should come in for a float, and then you were gonna do NLP or hypnosis on me, right? And that was the original agreement. And then and you're like, oh, I want you to come to a Kundalini activation class. And I'm like, what is that? You're like, don't ask questions, just come to the class. And I was like, you sure? I'd rather have like a one-on-one like NLP session or hypnosis. She's like, no, trust me, come to the class. So I didn't know anything about it. I said, you know what? I'm all about experience, and I want to see what life has to offer, and don't say no, just say yes to everything. So I ended up coming, and this was actually a very interesting time in my life. I think it was in January of 2020. So in December, I just came off a Tony Robbins event, a Date with Destiny, like the most amazing 5 days that probably I've ever had, and met so many incredible people. Synchronicities were happening, and I was just on this snowball effect of great things happening in my life. So I ended up coming to your class, and the first I set my mat down. I come introduce myself to you. We hug each other. First time meeting in person. Then I sit down. Everyone's getting ready for class, and then all of a sudden somebody walks by me, and I didn't even pay attention. And they sit down right next to me, and they're like, Anand, and I look over, and it's like, I think it was my friend Ella, who was she was in my IIN, so integrative nutrition course, and we met there years back, like 4 years back, and we were friends on Instagram, but not really talked that much. Anyways, that was interesting to see that it's somebody that I know. And then another person walks by, and they sat next to Ella. I wasn't paying attention again. I was kind of just preparing myself mentally. And that girl looks over and she's like, Anand? And I'm like, this was Marina. And I know Marina from the Tony Robbins family and all this kind of stuff. So we were just together in that course the previous month. And then it just so happens that Ella and Marina are friends, and they just met through another person that introduced the two of them. And they're like, oh, you should guys get together. So they became friends, and then they're sitting right next to me. And of all the days, you did several Kundalini activations that whole week. And of all the times and the days, these people sit right next to us. So it was just these synchronicities happening over and over. And then I did a 3-hour course with you. I think it was intro course, open course. And the first time I was a little skeptical, because I saw, like you said, you see these people in the when you're introducing it, they're like orgasmic, they're moving their body, they're shaking they're having an orgasm or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, whatever, let's see. And then the first time I go through it, I'm feeling just very relaxed. I'm going through certain like emotions as well. So like I'm feeling elated at one moment, I'm feeling sadness at one moment, I'm like tearing at one moment. And then I start feeling like the body really moving. And then I got a really good taste of what it was the first time, but I didn't really feel like a full opening or anything like that. And I realized sometimes it takes a little bit of time to kind of feel it fully, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. So then I think a couple days later, you had a full day course that you do these workshops. And that was when I really started going deep and deep. And then ever since that, like there were so many amazing things that happened in that course too. But ever since that, now whenever I breathe deeply, bring the air all the way up to my third eye, hold it there, and then I release like with a ah. If I do that for like 5-10 minutes, I'm able to feel that same Kundalini kind of opening up. And when I sit in my meditations, like it's a very powerful thing because my body feels so like almost like the physical body leaves and then the energetic body just suddenly like starts vibrating. And I really just want to thank you for that because that's a gift that you gave me that I have now and that I can utilize every time. And I have to kick myself a little bit because I don't do it as much as I need to because I know how powerful it is. And it's so cleansing for all the emotions and all the sensory input that we take in on a daily basis. But yeah, that's my experience. And what's funny is that a lot of people, when I was sharing this online, like they reach out and they're like, oh, come on, that can't be real. I'm skeptical about that. And there was so many people, I said, listen, have you tried it? And they're like, oh no, I haven't tried it. I think I'm skeptical about it. I'm like, well, if you're skeptical about it, then wouldn't it make sense for you to actually sit and experience it? And it might not be for you, but at least you've had the experience that you've done it, and then you can make a fair judgment on it rather than make an assumption. And I think that's like a microcosm for so many people out there. They think they know something when they haven't really gone through the fire. And what I would suggest for anyone is if you have any inkling to or interest in doing something, get it done, go for it, because you have nothing to lose other than the experience itself, right?
Absolutely. And, I have to mention, because we're talking about the orgasmic sensation, and it doesn't happen for everybody because everyone's experience is very different. Some people go into grief and crying and mourning about traumatic experiences that they didn't have opportunity or they didn't know how to tap in and release these emotions. Whatever was happening in childhood, they can tap into to that. Not recreating, it's kind of painless. You will feel the pressure, pain pressure, but it's not physical. It will be like emotions going up, and you need to release it. Whatever you experience at that moment, at amount that you perfectly need. And it's guiding you. Some people are crying, some people are laughing, some people are visually seeing anything from past, future, more clarity, deeper meditations, dialogue between you, your mind, or your higher self. It's like facing yourself with conscience, with psychedelic trips, the ayahuasca mushrooms. You are facing your own self, and whatever you have done in life, it's right there. And if you're ready to face that, you are ready to face that. It's for people who are practicing and spiritually growing, spiritually evolving, because you have to be ready for that practice. When you spiritually evolve, what naturally happens? Your surrounding changes. When you elevate in the frequency, when you shift in your frequency, everything around you shifts. And it's the natural law of resonance. Some people are staying in your past. And it's not like linear timeline, past, forward, back, forth. It's that you don't resonate any longer. And it happened in my life that I had to leave my husband for that reasons, because I was so aligned working in Manhattan, for 1 month so intensively that you were saying, I have that gift now, you gave it to me, I can activate, why don't I do it on myself very often? I can say the same. For 1 year, when I was going through a very traumatic experience, through hardship, and I'm an NLP master practitioner, when I was going through that, I forgot everything. I was kind of like in that loop, in that moment that I was already aware that it's not very healthy for me. So I have to get out. And when I got out, I was by myself in New York, facilitating so many classes and being washed with this frequency. It aligned me with who I am. So when I went back to Italy, I was suddenly feeling like, why did I see these colors are much more brighter than they are? Yeah. It was as if I took off my glasses, not the pink glasses, because I will never eliminate my pink glasses. It's my lifestyle. But like sobering up in that aspect, seeing the reality as it is, not how I wanted to see it always, and I was able to see, not the illusion. And so I understood it's not my nature. If I'm staying here, I'm going against my nature. And it's the sin. It's a sin to betray yourself.
Yes, 100%. And we were talking a little bit about like that emotional trauma that we had maybe in childhood, or even it could be ancestral, but just let's keep it to someone's physical reality in their body, right? So say emotional trauma happens. Say somebody told you you're a terrible singer when you were younger. I think this was one of the examples they gave. And then all of a sudden, every time you feel the urge to sing or talk or just express yourself, or you're told not to talk or whatever, that emotional trauma there's a seed that's planted in the physical bank account. And at some point, if you're not moving through those emotions and releasing them, or kind of sitting with them, understanding them to be able to release it, then it's going to cause some issues in that physical location, right? And a lot of people, I think there was this one study, I have to pull it up, maybe I can find it in the notes. There was this study on different types of cancers and different types of emotional traumas that people have had. And I believe it was the pancreatic cancer was related to shaming, public shaming, or something like that. They did all these studies. I think it was a Canadian study. And they were saying, like, I think Steve Jobs was one of the examples, like, he was the CEO of his company, the founder. All of a sudden, at one point, he got fired from there, and he was publicly shamed, and that caused such an emotional trauma towards him that it ended up resulting in cancer later on in his life. And who knows if whatever that's true, but this was one of the studies that somebody did, and they put out information on that. But it makes a lot of sense where the emotional traumas are being put inside of us, and then we have to somehow be able to release it. And I think KAP is an amazing way to do it. I think breath work also is another way to kind of release these traumas. But really, at the end of the day, we have to face what is not serving us and what's hurting us. And if we're conscious of it, or we're not conscious of it, KAP can get to the subconscious roots and kind of like scrape out whatever is like stuck inside of us.
Yes, and you don't even have to be conscious about it. Sometimes the traumatic experience occurs, or sometimes it doesn't occur in your mental. You don't even understand why the emotion came up. You don't have to think about it, intellectualize it, just release it. That's the beauty of the KAP modality. You don't have to think about it with a meaning to it. And so when you release it, it doesn't matter what is that really. It's the purpose. It was released and liberating. That's served the purpose.
Yeah, for sure. So you brought up the ayahuasca and the psychedelics. Do you tell us a little bit about your experience? Have you done it? What has your experience been like, Vida?
Absolutely. I always I'm very curious person, and I've done ayahuasca twice in my life. The first time I've done ayahuasca, it was in 2013, and I just started like to eliminate meat from my diet. I was in the beginning of my spiritual journey, and I was preparing myself very consciously that I need to eliminate this and that, and don't watch anything like heavy emotions before I go to this trip. And it was in Manhattan. Imagine that. Not even like it.
Me too. I don't recommend it for anyone to do their first experience in Manhattan, but mine was pretty powerful, I'd say.
Right. Yes. So yes, it would be much more incredible if it was done in nature, but it was as powerful as in nature. And I experienced death. I experienced that physical, ego, death, everything. I saw the hell in the settings, in the venue, in the people, I saw that. And I was very, it was kind of not resolved. It left some questions in my consciousness, because I was not scared. I was very aware of what's happening. I was like, oh my God. And then I'm dying, and my body became like from the raisin, or from the grape into the raisin very fast in front of my eyes. And I'm like, I'm still here. And it was incredible. And so when I was working with my therapist, and my therapist happened to be a person from Russia, she is also having a shamanic background, a medium. She can tap into the astral and higher realms. And she was explaining that the purpose of the ayahuasca is to go through this ego death process. So it was incredible that I got there for the first time. And when it was the second time, it was after my initiation in 2019 to this KAP modality. I was activated, I was emanating that frequency. I came to the circle in nature with beautiful women, and we were doing it in the daytime. Usually it's happening in the nighttime. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful, sunny, and we have these shots. And I was the first one, happened to be 5 of us. And, the first one takes, the first one hits it. Yeah, it hits him. And I'm already observing person number 4 is bawling for 10 minutes, and I don't feel anything. And I'm like, it feels good. It's like my natural state. I feel love. I see everything is love. Everything is beautiful, heart expansion. And I'm like, I kind of paid for it. I kind of poisoned myself already. I need to go fully in. Otherwise, it's a waste of a damage to my body and waste of everything. Yeah. And I go to shaman, and our shaman at that time had a person next to him, a Brazilian woman that didn't speak English. And they were co-facilitating the process, playing music. And I'm going to them and I'm saying, can I please have some more? Because I've heard you can do that in second shot or whatever. People are given do many, but I'm like, can I have some more? Because I don't feel it as I know how it can be felt. Yeah. And this shaman woman from Brazil is telling him something in Portuguese, and he translates to me she says, what do you do here? You don't need any longer. Your aura is golden. And, in that moments, this kind of moments happen in my life many times when people are telling you very, very nice things. And not only people, it's the people who have extrasensoric abilities, and they channel this information. They tell you something like, oh, you have that. And part of you sounds too good to be true. Or what do you want from me? I'm going to still buy your book. I'm going to buy your session. You don't need to give me all this nice, beautiful information. But then over time, I observed people from around the world, my natal charts, my Indian palm leaves reading, very profound astrology that was able to, from my fingerprint.
Nadia astrology.
Nadia astrology, you are familiar with that, it's profound. And I did it in India. My chart, my soul imprint, my blueprint in my life, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm doing. And so when I kind of connected the dots, okay, they kind of say about the same thing. I need to not to be shy about it when they talk about it, when they tell me, present me information. I need to take it. I need to embody that. Because if in 2012, 13, it would be still like a mystery to me. Now, as I'm advanced in my knowledge, in my practice, in my realizations, I am finally fully stepping into that, my full expression of who am I here and what I'm here to do. And so when they were telling me your aura is golden, it was another validation. I sat back and they said, thank you for bringing love to it's not that bringing love, everybody is love. Love is everything is God. But transmitting that state of consciousness in that field and holding the space for others, that was my purpose there in this ayahuasca second trip.
Yes, so powerful. Very, very similar story to me. So the first time I did it was in New York City, and I had that full ego death. I was able to experience any kind of like not so great interactions with people in the past, and able to see it from their perspective. If somebody hurt me, if I hurt somebody, I was able to heal that. I reached out to them after the session was over, make sure that we're all reconciled and we're good, and either apologize or forgive. And my life just like took off. And then the second time I did it, it showed me that, hey, listen, if you're not living your path now, like your purpose, what are you doing? So from then on, I started my journey towards building this center and in wellness. And I haven't touched ayahuasca since I think it was like 2015. So it's been quite a few years now. But I think that when we do these kind of work, like ayahuasca or some other kind of like astrology, like Nadi astrology, they want you, I guess, from a higher sense, like the universe, God, whatever, wants you to get to a certain level before you're ready for the next one, right? So you have to do the work in the real world. It's not just like taking ayahuasca all the time, because we all know people that drink ayahuasca every single week or month or whatever it is, and then talk about how great it is, but it's almost like a drug for them. It's not done in a ceremonial setting where you're taking it and then you're using what you learned in there. All the stuff that you're downloading, you have to now put into your life. And if you're not doing that, then you're not going to get the lessons going forward. It's almost like a joke, or like a habit, or like some kind of recreational thing. But at the end of the day, once I went through this process, I think there's a lot of things that I'm ready to move forward from in terms of like leveling up in my life. So I think that I'm feeling a calling to do ayahuasca again. I think that I'm ready for the next level of life, and bringing this to a larger scale. But it's so important to, once you do the psychedelic or the experience, then to kind of move in the direction of what you're learning in that.
Absolutely. I can't agree more, because I observe people who are going every weekend, as you were saying, and they get to use that kind of an excuse, or it's a recreational drug, it's the spiritual, it's the gathering, it's the spiritual ceremony, right? And what else can be more spiritual than that? But then they can be addicted to that. It can be another, like going to the nightclub activity, gathering, and it's also escape from reality, because they get there, they connect to altered state of consciousness, and then they close the door and go back to their normal life. Exactly what you said. And if we're not embodying, taking it to whole life, everyday aspect, we are not using it properly. And I am not against any recreational drugs, or like ayahuasca, bofa, whatever many other more natural plant medicine, because for people who tend to be very much in the mind, they block the higher state of consciousness. They are not perceiving what is beyond the consciousness. And to get them break open the mind and to perceive, okay, there is something more. Because when I was a kid, I kind of was seeing that there is something more than just here. And so for this kind of people, it's very useful, but not like very frequent, not very often. And then knowing that we can get into that state of consciousness, we don't need the substance. We can use the activation. We can tap into. For people who can get there by themselves, they need facilitator. It's like, remember when I was saying that they wash the face with a high frequency water, with a holy water, and then going back, and then you need to wash your face again. And actually, I'm doing this immersions that you mentioned, like half the day, 6 hours of the group sessions. And I differentiate women and men separately. In that sessions, people get to dive in the pool of that holy water and embody that for the longer lasting effect in life.
Amazing. So in addition to the 6 hour sessions, tell us a little bit of some of the other offerings. I know you do one-on-ones and open sessions as well.
Open sessions I do on Thursdays and Saturdays in Manhattan. I do private sessions on a requirement. Also, I do online group sessions, online private sessions, and these immersion days, which happen twice or once per month, fantastic. It's like ground shaking. I'm having a beautiful testimonial from a girl who experienced that last time with me. And she said she was writing that she was experiencing like the pain from trauma, from releasing, from crying. It felt like she was going through birth channel, and I was her midwife.
Wow.
And it was the process of rebirth, coming back to that fetal reprogramming. And it's just mind-blowing experience.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing about your practice. I highly recommend everybody to experience this. It's a once in a lifetime kind of thing, and to have the ability to have access to somebody like this is very rare, because I think you're like the only one in this whole area. So one of very few. So yeah.
Thank you. Of course, there are many. For a year and a half, I was the only one on the East Coast,
Yeah.
and many people from neighbor states, they were traveling to visit me too. And I was traveling to India and Africa and Italy. I was living in Italy a little bit, in Russia. Every time I was coming back to New York, I was overly booked because people knew, oh my God, she's the only one here. There are many more, a few more, not many, but every facilitator has its their own frequency imprint, and people who resonate choose their facilitator activator.
Beautiful, beautiful. So switching gears a little bit, obviously we're living in a very interesting timeline for Earth. And I really respect your opinion on your overall view and perspectives on things. Tell us, what is your interpretation of what's going on right now in humanity and Earth at large?
My interpretation is that the Earth and humanity go through natural cycle of evolution, of collective agreement, interpersonal relationships. It's very normal, and we are blessed. We are so blessed to be facing, to be living, experiencing that what we are going through with this COVID situation, when people were caged in their apartments without opportunity to go to explore, to live life as normal, and we get to be there with our people who trigger us the most. And who is that? Our partners and our family. So it was a boot camp of transformation. It was a collective enforcement of awakening. It had to happen. And so people like me, people like you, other teachers, mentors, healers are holding the space for people who are going through that and being overwhelmed. Because for me, it happened back in 2010, 2012. I was having my first awakenings. It was very weird. It was like not a lot of people who you can talk to, express, and you would be understood, because it was weird at that time. I'm in my dream being abducted, and I cannot speak about that, like I would be a weirdo cuckoo, and now it's mass media. I'm like, wow, how amazing and fantastic. It's my life. Welcome to my life. So it's a natural cycle, and I think it's fascinating. And I can be judged like, oh, she's living in her bubble, whatever, like world, everything is lovey-dovey. No, I went through a hardship. I went through 2020 was a hell for me. If it exists on Earth, it was that, with my own things I was facing, I was seeing. And this is the beauty of it, to go through that, to have things in front of you, to be seen and to be transformed through relationship, through father, through mother, through aunt. The person who triggers you the most is a blessing to bring up in front of you, because if we see it, we transform it. If we don't see it, we carry that as the baggage. And then from that baggage, we recreate.
Yeah, and we dump it on somebody else's life too. And rather than dumping garbage, we want to dump blessings. And I think really every single person, like you said, the person that triggers us the most is the biggest blessing in our life. And what if your worst day in life was actually your best day, if you look at all the things you've gone through to get to where you are today? So I really fully honor that. And anyone who's going through pain, and to be able to come out with a smile on your face and feel gratitude for the situation, I think that's the game of life. If you figure that out, you've already won the game of life. Everything else is just a blessing on top.
Absolutely. And again, I want to emphasize that, because from my explanation might be sounded too good to realize to make it in the real world. If a person is going through a very hard time and I'm coaching my clients in personal as an NLP practitioner, as the coach, besides Kundalini Activation Process, to integrate modality activations and everything. So people are going through their transformation, and some people can think, oh, she's just too, things she said too good to be true. It's not, easier said than done. I went through the moment, which is called dark night of the soul. We all go through that, and it's a blessing because it's an ego death, ego structure death, and you are tapping into who you are. I was in the process of crying so hard that I was losing my voice for the week. So it was very intense. I can speak about that. I can show, not to prove people, like, right, I don't care, but I have videos that I videotaped myself that I went through that extremely hard pain. You imagine that I felt that. It was the feeling I was describing right now. I'm smiling. It's not sarcasm. I'm just smiling because I'm so happy it happened, because I would not be the person I am now. And I'm like, oh, going. But it felt to me like the pain, if I was departed, if I was cut without anesthesia, raw, the pain I went through. So, and even in that process, you're able to go through, and it's your choice how long you want to devote to this healing process, because we can be healing all life. It's a belief that, oh, we're going that, we're so traumatized, we need to be healing. You just give yourself time and space consciously that, okay, you want to do this work to heal yourself, to kind of like mentally, physically, energetically, because we can even reprogram, right? Rewrite the history, whatever happened, to trick the mind, and then it liberates you from pressure, pain, association with that. And then it's consciously your choice, because we can get stuck in that healing process as having an excuse. Oh, I'm healing. I'm delaying everything at what I was doing. I am healing. I went through that just now. Everybody will understand. And then it's your excuse to fully live your life now. And we are all on different level of consciousness of perceiving how it works. And I think I am being an example that it's doable. It's doable faster than you think. First time I went through that, I went for a few years through that, because I was eliminating. I was like, no, it didn't exist. I'm going to distract myself. And I never lived through the emotions that were necessary to live through. And now everything came back. At the moment of the healing, everything came back from 10 years ago, from 20 years ago, here, and boom, release, mentally, physically, spiritually, energetically, work. And then I am here now, smiling and open and liberated.
Thank you. Well, so well said. You know, what is the point of life if everything was easy and we'd get all the lessons when we're early on? It's like the constant evolving of life, the unfolding of paths, moving through challenges, cleaning karma. That's all a part of it. And then when we laugh and love the journey and be so grateful for it, because this is the only journey that we know, and this is what we have to do. So it's really important to love your life and fall in love with yourself and realize you are your soulmate. Anastasia, why did you come to Earth as Anastasia Armanova? What did you want to experience?
It was two different questions, because what I wanted to experience in life, I wanted to send my mom to the space, that she would be, because it's timeline different, she would come back around the same age and I would age, and so we would be kind of like in the same level of age. It was my life. I wanted to experience that, interestingly. But I came to this life with Anastasia Armanova, as we all came with our sets of gifts, of talents, and to be the full expression, representation of not just physical body, but the imprint, who you are here as energy. And what is a life purpose is to be fully who you are, find something that you're passionate about, that you love, that brings you joy. And when you are in that frequency, you emanate that frequency, and it's impactful to others. It's not about, oh, what profession should I do? What is that? What's my life purpose? It's being every day your expression, being in love with yourself, being who you really are. And I think I'm here to show that it's possible.
Wonderful. And what does God or spirituality mean to you?
God is all it is. God is everything, in everything. And it's like dark and light, right? Like the question would be like the difference between dark and light. I think God is dark, God is light. Dark is the same light without knowing itself. It's light. It's the intensity of light. The dark room, when we open the door, it starts to know itself in light. So that God is everything. That was always my interpretation.
Oh, makes so much sense. Okay, so how can we learn more about you, Anastasia?
I have a website which is called Purity Sensation. There you can find about my project that I'm working on. It's called Purity Sensation. It's the modality that I'm developing. Full detox, body, physical body, mental body, spiritual energy body, to get yourself to this super consciousness, to the psychic abilities and manifestation and extra abilities. It's kind of a program for the new evolving, organically evolving human. I also put information about Kundalini Activation Process there on the puritysensation.com. You can find me on the email, kapbyanastasia.com. And I have also a Facebook page, KAP by Anastasia. So I'm holding these immersions in July, in August, for men and women. You can find information there. And everyone who is resonating with that, very welcome. I'm looking forward to facilitate this beautiful, beautiful journey and to set you on this spiritual evolution.
Yeah, it's a real honor to work with you. What a blessing. And thank you for coming on, and thank you for being such a beautiful soul in this world. We really, everyone appreciates you so much.
Thank you, Anand, very, very much. I'm very honored, humbled, and blessed to be on your podcast. And thank you again for spreading this knowledge and collecting people like mine. It's very important to spread this information for others. Thank you.